Hello, I'm Dr. Lisa Belisle, and you are listening to or watching Radio Maine, our video podcast where we explore and celebrate creativity and the human spirit. We are sponsored by the Portland Art Gallery in Portland, Maine. Today, I have with me a dear friend and fellow resident of our fine coastal town here in Maine, and also Portland Art Gallery artist, Emily Blaschke. Good to see you today.
To see you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it is my pleasure. I've really enjoyed your art over the years and how it's continued to evolve in such interesting ways. So I can't wait to talk to you about it because I think your art is unique.
Thank you.
I mean, at the Portland Art Gallery, certainly, but probably within Maine.
Yeah, it is pretty different from Maine, but I see it changing, especially at the gallery.
Mm-hmm.
You have a couple California artists now.
Yes to California, and we definitely have mixed media artists, but your art in particular
Goes to a different level.
Absolutely. So describe to me your art. And first, let me say that you studied at UC Berkeley, you studied at Maine College of Art, so you have a very impressive educational background in art, but you've also been practicing it.
Yes.
And developing your own style
Yeah.
over decades now. So when people look at your art, what are they seeing? And describe to me how you get them.
Oh, what I want the viewer to experience?
Yeah, I guess they're different questions. So describe your art first, and then maybe that leads into the next question.
So my art, well, it began when I went to UC Berkeley. It was more figurative, and when the girls were born, I was doing portraits, but I always loved collage and mixed media, so I always kind of had that on the sideline. And when I moved to Maine 16 years, that's where it kind of evolved into these assemblaged, almost sculptural mixed media pieces.
I remember some of the earlier pieces, they were like Barbie doll heads and like other interesting kind of like there would be faces and and other
it's so
things.
funny because when I moved to Yarmouth, one of my favorite days of the week, I'm embarrassed to say, but I loved going to the dump. We didn't have trash pickup, and that's where I found the Barbies and many other projects that I worked on. But the Barbies, I came home with this gigantic box of, Barbies from some kid that, the hair was cut off. And I had fun with those. I did several pieces. I still have maybe like 2 left in my studio.
So you didn't steal them from your children. You didn't just dismantle their toys in order to make your art.
You know what? I probably would have, but both of them weren't really interested in Barbies.
So you bring in kind of found objects.
I do. I live for found objects. That's basically how my work starts. Going to, vintage, antique stores, salvage, the dump. I grew up with a mom who is a designer, a collector, and I think I found my calling with my art in that way. I like reusing too, turning things that are thrown away, giving them new life. And I find a lot of my other sources at the dump, they also have this area of paint that's unwanted. So I'll come home with gallons of people's house paint that I incorporate in my work.
And nail polish.
Nail polish is something else I really love too. I think I started nail polish because I liked that kind of shiny, fast drying part to it, and I also would assemblage like pieces on it if I used jewelry in my work. And then I started getting the stuff on sale or discounted, or people would give me their expired nail polish. But I can get a little bit in trouble with using it with the toxic smell. So I'm not using it as much these days. But if I do, I go outside and add a little bit here and there.
First of all, I didn't know that nail polish expired, so that's
It does.
actually
Yeah.
that's good information to
Yeah.
have. And
Yeah, so you know who to call.
apparently, we have to during
Yeah.
the warm winter months so that we don't,
Yeah.
toxify you. In
Oh
your
my gosh,
system.
I have people like my old neighbor who moved. They'll bring me boxes of stuff. Like I made this one creation from her like rusted cookie cutters, and I went to town with those. But I have people now that like call me up and say, "Do you want? I have this," or I still get lots of calls with Barbies. Do you want my old? So, word's gotten around. I don't really need to go to the dump anymore. I get constant drop-offs.
This actually makes me feel better, Emily, because there are things that I run across in my everyday life, and jewelry is one example. Like,
Yeah.
you have that one,
One earring.
One earring.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not super valuable. It's not like a
Yeah, but you save it.
but you save it
Yeah.
because there's something at least in the back of my mind, I'm thinking I can do something with this someday.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky in that area because on my husband's side there is they have a jewelry store in Connecticut, and they know that I do this with my work, and they'll send me parts and stuff, that kind of pile up there. So that's always fun when I get those. It's like treasures coming in the mail.
Do people ever commission you to do work with objects?
So, one of my favorite things, I love commissions because then I can start collecting, planning, even exhibitions I love, especially themed ones, but that's when, you can be a little bit more disciplined too and get the excitement of building a project, gathering all the stuff for the pieces.
So you talk about how you love commissions, and I know, and it seems like artists kind of go one way or the other.
Yeah.
Most people, if you're an artist who loves commissions, you're an artist who loves commissions. If you're an artist who doesn't like commissions, you're like, I did it once, I'll never do it again, or
Right.
I've never done it, I'll never do it.
Yeah.
So what is it about working with people who have asked you to create a piece for them?
Well, I
that
think
appeals to you?
I don't know if I would do portraits again. Well, so far I've had a really good experience with commissions. I had one where somebody gave me a wedding dress, and she said, you can burn it, do whatever you want. And I asked her all about her wedding, like where it was. It was in Casco Bay. They love boating. So I started collecting old maps. They had these little, those old-fashioned bell jars, I think they're called, that you drink out of, that were blue. So I started collecting the little round tops to those. And I added some pictures that I kind of aged in the background, but it was the size of a door. And what was fun with not being nervous about destroying the dress, I was able to kind of make it translucent so you could see all the images below it. And it wasn't just, it was their wedding dress, but also it could be in anybody's home. It wasn't just, it was passed down to their son or daughter. I think that they would still enjoy it, or their next door neighbor.
So I'm getting this visual of almost like a mermaid situation with just this, a mermaid with a beautiful dress. I guess I don't know what mermaids wear, but
Right.
but yes, this sort of interesting crossover.
Yeah, it was neat because I used resin on it, and sometimes what I love about resin, it can change fabrics into almost this see-through image, and then you can see what's underneath. And if you're like writing messages or having pictures or adding material, it's kind of a neat effect.
I guess another question that's that you mentioned earlier, what is it that you want people to get out of interacting with your art?
I think when people view my art, I would like them to have a sense of discovery, joy, interest. I do a lot of, not all the time, but sometimes I write things or have words. So I hope that they connect to that in some way. if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a few of your pieces in the past that I've really enjoyed that incorporate hearts and love.
Yeah.
And they're particularly beautiful and striking. So I'll stand there and I'll just look at your art for a while and I'll think, wow.
There's usually a lot in my pieces.
Yeah.
A lot of layers.
In doing this sort of work, how have you evolved as an artist over time?
Well, I definitely have my own unique style now. So that's kind of an interesting, and I've been doing it for years and years. But it seems to be always evolving. I'm always kind of changing it up a little bit. But usually people know if it's something that I did. They come into a room.
And do you ever work in series?
I love working in series. My studio is like packed with, I have one of my neighbors had a relative that passed away that worked with clocks, and they asked me if I wanted, all these parts. And so I have this one area that's like all these parts of clocks, and I'm using them actually as a canvas, the inside of them, and adding all these kind of fun things. So I have that in one corner, and then I have another corner, the love section, because I always do something in February. And then I had something for a wedding that I was working on with words, so I think I'm putting that over there because that was kind of fun. And then my mom, who's this interior designer, has like all these fabrics and big collector of folk art, and I think I get all this from her in the later years. In the gallery right now, I have that kind of fabric abstracted piece that is built up. I'm doing a couple of pieces like that, but I also tend to go back to doing pieces with fabrics that are almost quilt-like, but with paint and mixed media and messages. I'm trying to think what else I have. I have so many different things going on in there. Oh, I was doing these kind of 3D. I have a couple of them and they all started from a broken vase, but I have a series of bouquets that I'm working with.
There's a term that I wanted to ask you about, and that is bricoleur.
Oh,
I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, that was a Missy Dunlap word that she was kind of looking at my bio and put in. I don't know if it's a word too much that I would use, but now down the line, I'd probably use something a little bit different. But I do use kind of my work is very collaged and layers and mixed media. I think she was just kind of a colorful word to describe my work.
So this was a word that was given to your work. You're not sure you completely agree with it.
Yeah, it's so funny that you brought that up because I was looking at my bio before I came in and I crossed that out.
Interesting. So in your mind,
it's not in my something in my language, a word that I would normally use, but I liked it for that, so I just left it.
Well, that was another question. That was kind of related to the question of what is it that you hope to get people to feel or see when you're having them stand in front of your works? Because if you're a landscape painter, you're possibly evoking a sense of place, right? But if you're doing mixed media and it's not necessarily figurative, then
what do I want the viewer to feel?
Yeah.
Well, I hope when people see my work, they have a sense of discovery, joy, interest. With all the words, I hope they connect with it in some way. I know everybody's going to have a different feeling or come out of seeing my work in a different way, but I hope that it brings some kind of something.
Another thing that I wonder if people know about you is that you, in the time that you've been here in Maine, you've really been quite a community builder in the art world.
I know, I was surprised. Because moving from California, San Francisco, had a great community there, and there's lots of art in the museum. I was a docent, a teacher, and so I was a little worried when I moved to Maine that I wouldn't have all the arts, but I almost feel like it's even more so in some way. Or maybe I've been here now 16 years, but yeah, I'm a big part of the Portland Museum of Art. Husband's been on the board, we're steering committee, and we've gone on trips, so we've made friends from, so the interest in the same thing with arts. I'm on the Yarmouth Arts Committee, in charge of all the gallery activity with that. It's the Merrill Library and 317 Music, so that keeps me busy. Of course, Portland Art Gallery, it's a big community. What I love about Portland Art Gallery is even if you're not having, or you're not in the first Thursday exhibition, you always have a piece in every month, so that keeps you focused and always bringing a piece of work in.
I also wonder how many people know that your connection to Maine is a family connection that goes back a really long time.
Yeah.
And goes back to a very esteemed publication within our state.
I've been coming to Maine my entire life, every summer, and I would spend summers at my grandparents', but my grandfather started Down East magazine on the kitchen table with my dad and his 3 brothers, and I would, spend most of my time up in Mid-Coast, Camden area with them. And it's kind of ironic now that here I live in Maine from California.
So somehow you kept being drawn back to this place.
Yeah, and my brother's here too, which is really fun. Yeah, we both California born, are both here. He's a veterinarian up in Lincolnville area. Well, Northport is his hospital.
So what do you think, as a California person, what do you think kind of has kept you in Maine? I mean, I've been to the part of the world that you're from. It's quite beautiful. There's a lot it has to offer.
No, that's a good question. Great, wonderful place to have your children grow up. The Yarmouth schools were amazing. And summers is the only place I want to be. I do miss California, winter months. I'm hoping in my future it'll break it up a little bit. So maybe 7 months here and the rest California, because I still have a lot of roots there.
That would be a good balance.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your coming in and talking with me.
Thank you.
It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
It's always interesting because, of course, you and I have children similar age. We've known each other kind of on the sidelines.
Yeah.
We've known each other at the gallery. And I can't believe it's taken this long for us to actually have this prolonged conversation about your actual artwork that I've been aware of and really admired for so many years.
Thank you so much.
Well, you do beautiful work.
Thank you.
I know that you show up at the art gallery openings on Thursdays, the first Thursday of every month. So I'm hoping that people who are listening can come to the gallery. And I really think, although online your work is quite striking, I think in person it's particularly compelling. So I would invite people to come see you at the art gallery openings at the first Thursday.
Thank you. I'll look forward to first Thursday next month.
Absolutely. I'm Dr. Lisa Belisle, and you've been listening to or watching Radio Maine, our video podcast where we explore and celebrate creativity and the human spirit. And today I've been speaking with my lovely friend and a uniquely creative spirit, Emily Blaschke, who is an artist with the Portland Art Gallery. I encourage you to go online to learn more about her work. As we said, go to the actual art gallery. And if you come on the first Thursday, you'll probably be seeing Emily, which would be quite a treat. She's a wonderful individual. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you so much.